I'm Todd Skinner. I'm with AEG International, one of the 3 companies in Hyde Park Partners. I have been working here now for 45 years. I'm the president of AEG International. Well, I learned that I liked computers when I went to South Mecklenburg High School, the public school system, back in the 70s, and decided I wanted to major in computer science. So I went away to North Carolina State in Raleigh, got a degree in computer science, and we had a software business here. I had a job offer to go to work for IBM in Endicott, New York, or Shell Oil in Houston, Texas, and decided to come to work for little old Livingston and Haven. It wasn't Hyde Park Partners at the time, writing software, and did that. We had a software business for a while. We sold systems around the country, went to Seattle a lot, the West Coast, Chicago, doing that, and then we decided to pull back from that and focus more strategically on the software to support the Livingston and Haven business. So, and I got involved with the legal support for our company and our banking relationship, the finance end of the company, and a couple other ventures we started related to energy efficiency back in the end of the first decade of this millennium. And then in 2014, when we started building our own solar products, we started looking for markets where we could actually sell these things. And I always loved to travel. I love to, I'm really comfortable in new cultures. I like to learn their language instead of putting my language on them, especially French. In the Congo, they speak French. So it was a great chance to try to develop that language for me. So I was kind of the person that Clifton decided was the best person to lead the AEG effort, and been doing that now since 2014. Our mission with AEG is we want to do well while doing good. So we're a for-profit business, but we want to have an impact on the people that we get to serve. So when we go we have a business in Tanzania, we have Tanzanian employees, we have an office and a warehouse there, and then we have a business in the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and we have an office and a warehouse there in Kinshasa, Congolese employees, and they're become, people that we care about very much, not just for what they can do for us, but what we're able to do for them. And then, the customers that we impact, in many cases, in most cases, don't have electricity at all. I just returned last week from the Congo. We were awarded a grant by USTDA to do a feasibility study for building a solar farm, utility scale battery storage, rebuilding the electric service in a city called Bandaka, which is 700 kilometers up the Congo River from Kinshasa, and has 2 million people living there and no electric grid. They used to have one, but it's deteriorated. It was all based on diesel generators anyway, because they're not connected to the national grid. So that's just that project. We'll do a feasibility study thanks to USTDA this year. All the while we'll be developing and looking for investors who are interested in that project so that we can actually build the project out. But it would be, it certainly would be the biggest, the most important work I've ever done in my life. That would be, not just providing electricity, but providing it in a renewable fashion. So we're harnessing the sun. We'll be using utility scale battery storage, so container-sized battery storage, so that you can store the energy during the day, and then the city will receive power after dark from renewable sources. Not only will it enable them to, we call the project Reviving Bandaka, because it's a really important city logistically on the river, serves a huge land area north of it in the Congo that, they don't have roads or rail or anything like that. They use the river to move products up there. And then this is kind of a logistical hub for those things to then get distributed further. So it's strategically important for the country, but it's just, been neglected. And so it's an opportunity for the city to come back to life, for the people to have a better future economically, but also at the same time it addresses the climate issues that we face, because we'll use the sun to produce the electricity and batteries to store it and produce electricity at night. So we're hoping that there's lots of NGOs and particularly around Europe and Scandinavia that are interested that have money to invest to try to impact the climate but don't know where to invest it. So we'll be talking to many of those people, looking for maybe the equity component of this project financing, and then do the rest with debt, and then the citizens and the businesses and the government buildings and the churches of the city will pay for the power, which will repay the financing. Steps for Growth is a great opportunity to bring awareness to all the different careers that exist within energy. The approach that we're taking that I just described is one facet, and we do believe here that just that energy will be more and more, it'll be produced where it's consumed. In Africa, they never finished building landline telephones because cellular came along. So everything's been wireless, and we believe electricity will be the same way. The city will produce the electricity where it needs it and never transmit it around the country. Kate mentioned the small solar home systems, and that's a micro version of the same thing. People are producing power on their rooftop and storing it and then consuming it in their house. It doesn't have to be transmitted. But in America today and in Europe, in the developed world, centralized generation and transmission is still very important and a big part of the solution. And our electric grid in the U.S. is aging and requiring more and more money, more and more repair. It's susceptible to bad actors who would like to take it down, like just happened in Pinehurst, last fall. So the other aspect of distributed power is it gives you resiliency. It's a key word for us. You're not dependent on something that happens 30 miles away or 100 miles away or something like that. But the careers are many-fold, in the energy industry, and we want to through the Steps for Growth, give young people a glimpse into that. I could decide that I really want to be an engineer. I want to sit at a desk. But even an engineer, there are many different things. I could be an engineer designing solar systems like I'm talking about for the city, or I could be an engineer that works for Duke Energy who's designing a small little piece of their massive infrastructure. Or I could decide I want to be outside all day long. I want to work, where they're building solar farms, or I want to climb poles. I want to be a lineman. Central Piedmont has a nice training program that focuses on somebody who's interested in that area. How does energy get generated? I might be interested in, gas turbines, or, how power plants work, or I might be interested administratively. How does Duke Energy make money, or any engineering company? How does this little project I described, financially make sense? What do people pay? Are they paying, et cetera? There's just a myriad of different careers that all fall underneath energy. We have a huge deficit in terms of the number of people that will be required to make all these things happen, and getting them interested early in the funnel, if you will, of what am I going to do with my life, is really the only way the only solution we have to try to meet the needs of all these jobs for something that you and I take for granted. You expect the rest of your life to have electricity, right? Well, it's not just going to happen because we expect it. Yeah, if you think about career development and young people and the workforce and so forth, like a supply chain, then we have to start filling the supply chain at an early age. We have to educate, offer options for young people, and interest them in what these things are, so that those engaged minds and bodies are starting to fill that supply chain of these jobs we need to have. Employer engagement is absolutely a critical piece of this, because even if you do the best job you can do at the high school level and the college level, but I'm disconnected from it, I'm not going to understand what's available to me in terms of these resources. Business has to meet these people during that decision-making process, and understand that there's also great capability there, that this young person that's coming up through this human supply chain, is my next employee. So being engaged with the education system as a business is absolutely integral, and we've learned that through our work at Olympic High School with Mike Raylon, and now planning to do the same thing at Palisades High School through Steps for Growth. By the way, one of the things we're proposing for Palisades is a DC microgrid of their own, so that they can have a living lab, as I like to think about it, where they have what we have here, in a high school. I'll go back to CMS, and when I was learning about computers, the Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system received key punch machines and printers and a connection to the large IBM mainframe system that State, UNC, and Chapel Hill used. Had we not had that, I would never have discovered, what I really wanted to do and what I was really good at. I learned it in high school in 1975. I want these kids to be able to learn that about energy at Palisades High School, thanks to the Steps for Growth funding. I think, the benefit is they get paid a nice wage, and some matching salaries, so that's important, that it's not a free internship. But more importantly, I think they get to see, what's really going on. How am I going to apply these things that I'm learning or deciding that I want to learn more about in a next level of education? How does it matter? How do I apply it? And working here and at places like Siemens and some of the other corporate participants, they get hands-on experience every day with what actually happens in the business world, and how might I fit into it? Well, I think it brings energy, and I heard Clifton say that, and I would agree with that. There's maybe a different way of thinking about some things. There's some extra resource that lets you focus on something that you just can't ever get to during the normal work week. So maybe you've got a great idea or task, and this resource in the intern, as we experienced with Ben and last summer, gives you an opportunity to try something that you might not have time to try otherwise.